Hi, I am Denise Newton Fitzpatrick, and as many know now, I am a civil rights fighter, a person, an advocate for equality. And I've been asked some questions, and the question that I'm being asked today is, what really are civil rights? And someone said, do I have them? Are they just for people of color? Because I am not a person of color. So what are civil rights exactly? Well, I'm going to answer the question briefly because civil rights covers a lot. It's very broad, big category, civil rights. But I will cover just a small area of civil rights, what they are. Because we hear the word police brutality everywhere after the killings of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, people of color. You hear Black Lives Matter crying everywhere for justice. Black Lives Matter, people of color. So again, when the lady asks, what are these civil rights? Is it just for people of color? Well, I am going to answer that quickly in 3 steps. And then we'll go into some more civil rights on another video. But civil rights are the rights of citizens to political and social freedom and equality. The social opportunities under the law, and that's regardless of race, religion, or other characteristics. So it says regardless of race. So that answers are civil rights just for people of color. Now, the second thing I'm going to say though about that is I'm going to give some examples of civil rights. The right to vote. And we know just people of color are not the only ones that go and vote. So the right to vote, the right to housing, which is also a human right, the right to a fair trial, the right to government services, the right to public education, and more. Now we know those things are not just for people of color. Now, the Fair Housing Amendment Act of 1988 is under the 42 U.S.C. federal statutes or codes. Title 42, again, is the Public Health and Welfare. Chapter 45, Fair Housing, which is subchapter 1. The Fair Housing Amendment Act of 1988 makes it illegal to discriminate in the sale or rental of housing on the grounds of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, familial status, disability. Those are what you call the 7 protected classes. Now we know that not just people of color can go and buy a house. Or, for us renting, we know that just people of color are not the only ones that can rent some property. And depending on your religion, just let's say for instance, a Baptist person isn't the only one that can rent a house, buy a house, rent an apartment, own a condo. National origin, where you were born. Can you come over here and say, well, she's Chinese, so she can't rent a property? Or sex, he's black, but he's a male. Or he's white, and the other is white as a male. So we can discriminate on sex as long as they're not a black. Anyway, sex is one of the technical. You need to see on that. Familial status, just people of a certain age cannot be, or we can't take them in because they're under 18. So we can't have people with children moving in to this place we're going to rent. If a landlord says that, that of course would be discrimination. A disability. Now I'm going to explain disability a little bit further because, as I've said many times, I can't say it enough, that is a big one because that was one of the ones that we were discriminated under the Fair Housing Amendment Act of 1988 because of my son having a mental disability, when he's supposed to be protected under the Fair Housing Amendment Act of 1988 because he's a member of protected class as well. So as I said before, he was discriminated because of disability. He was eligible because he had a disability according to the law, but then when he was discriminated because he had a disability, then that was discrimination, violated the law, and it violated civil rights, because when housing discrimination is proven, I said many times, as ours was, if you've heard this 100 times, just close your ears right here, like I keep saying when I make these videos, you're discriminated because you had a disability, so you were eligible because you had a disability, then you were discriminated because you had this, you were excluded, from the house because you had a disability. So we got a case of civil rights violation, because as I said, when civil rights are, when housing discrimination, is proven in a court of law, as ours was, then that constitutes a civil rights violation. And a whole bunch of other laws. Not going to that on another video, because I don't make the videos, don't want to make them too long where a person stops listening. I'm to say so much that the subject is broad. And then in other videos, or as questions come in, then we go into another video to get those answers and to learn more about these laws and what civil rights is. So disability, under the Fair Housing Act of 1988, or the Fair Housing Amendment Act of 1988, a disability is defined as having a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities and or being perceived by another as an individual with a physical or mental impairment. Again, in our case, then, the 42 USC codes were violated because, as I said earlier, the Fair Housing Amendment Act of 1988 falls under 42 USC Code, Public Health and Welfare. It's Chapter 1, Title 42. So then, in our case, I'm going to say it real quick. I'm not going to even say all of them because there's a lot of them that violated. And I've said it in other videos, but this could be your first time listening, so I have to say it over and over. But I'm going to just give some of them in here. I've got a whole bunch. The program that me and my son were supposed to be under was called, at the time, the Shelter Plus Care Program. Now, that is a program that is authorized by the federal government to a local government entity to provide housing. They said, we're authorized under the federal government to provide housing for people that have been been homeless, and have mental illness, someone in the family. Now, that program was authorized pursuant to 42 USC Code 11403. That was the authorization code that the federal government authorized the local government under to provide housing for people, as I've explained. It is designed to link rental assistance to supportive services for the group of people that can be considered at the time hard to serve, homeless, person with mental disability, and other people fall under that too, such as, and we didn't fall under this, my son was schizophrenic, we fell under because of that, but chronic substance abuse and or AIDS and their families. And then you've got a 42C as in cow, F as in Frank, R as in run, and that's 5A2.1. Now, I won't go into a whole bunch of that stuff because people probably wondering what are all these numbers, We wanted a quick answer, so I'm going to make it as quick as possible. I don't want to add this, though, because it does make it interesting to many to understand those codes. I have people come to me and they've said, I'd like to know them codes. I'm just going to give a few. 42 USC, which is United States Code, because U stands for United, S stands for States, and C stands for Code. Now, the 42 USC Code 582.320A and B was when the local government entity violated my rights under the 42 USC codes by terminating my housing assistance because I would not agree to helping them to keep the son out by me signing into a new program with rules contrary to what I had already signed, that gave a participant the right to request a change in family composition. That was in the rules that I signed. Now, again, we won't go into a whole bunch of that now because the video is getting longer. And I'm going to give them just one more code for now. And if you have any further questions, you can ask any questions too. Can you tell me more about the codes or this and the other? As I said, this is just one video on this. There's been more made. There will be more made. And there has been some made before this. So, when housing discrimination against my son occurred, there was also discrimination against me as one associated with him. The 42 USC code clearly states that termination of assistance under that program must be observed for the most severe cases, not just because, well, she wasn't signed to a new program to help us keep her son out. That is not a reason to terminate the assistance at all. One thing, it's totally wrong. It doesn't fit under the laws nowhere. The recipient, the person providing the housing, may terminate assistance to a participant who violates program requirements or conditions of occupancy. That did not fit me nowhere. Recipients must exercise judgment and examine all extenuating circumstances in determining when violations are severe enough to warrant termination. And of course, there were none. So that our participant's assistance is terminated in only, again, the most severe cases, emphasis mine. 42 USC 582.320A. And I have pages and pages of those codes that were violated. So to answer the question, which was the main reason for the video, what exactly is civil rights? Can I, or do I have them, even though I am not a person of color? Because I'm hearing, again, Black Lives Matter, I'm hearing them as they're standing up for justice, and I know that's pertaining to black. I know George Floyd was black. I know Breonna Taylor was black. And I keep hearing the word civil rights. So some people think that woman asked a question, she thought, well, it must be just for black people. Civil rights must not cover me. But it does. And again, the reasons that is emphasis put on Black Lives Matter is because police brutality is largely and has been largely toward people of color. Again, I am Denise Newton Fitzpatrick, a fighter for civil rights and advocate for equality. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm a little tongue-tied today. I've been talking a lot today, so excuse me on that one. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel by searching the name Denise Newton Fitzpatrick, that as videos come up, as they're made, you will know and be able to listen in. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you will also be entered into the bonus program, which is an incentive for me saying and my son saying, thank you for subscribing. Now, that bonus program is going to be come out on a monthly basis. The more people that refer people that subscribe and say, oh, I was referred by such and such. Well, such and such has to be a subscriber themselves. So if the such and such person's name is given, and I can see, because it's being corrected, where you subscribe, it shows your name, then you will be eligible for the bonus program. The person at the end of the month that has the most amount of subscribers with comments and likes, not so much likes, I don't really care about the like part, but with comments, that person, I want you to like it. I'm not saying I don't want you to like it, but I'm not putting emphasis on that. That person will receive the bonus. Now, this is a new bonus program. I had one in the past, and it was a short one. I was working on it, and there were bonuses sent out. The last bonus was okay, and it involved helping you with transportation. Now, the bonuses, how do I give the bonuses? Is it out of my own pocket? Well, the others were. Or will it be from other groups of people? Well, the more you send people that subscribe, the larger the views get. The larger the views get will attract others because they will think, well, a lot of people are really subscribing. Let me see what that's about. And you don't know who may be a subscriber and may want to not only participate in the bonus program, but maybe someone that wants to contribute to the bonus program. And just say, for instance, no one ever wants to contribute to the bonus program. Does it stop? No, it doesn't stop. It will be on me to make sure that you get a bonus in ways that I have done it in the past from my own funds. Now, the bonus program will not necessarily go on forever. It won't stop because somebody did not donate to it to create the bonus. But the bonus program could become something else. It may not involve a gift as it's doing now. It could involve a bonus of another kind, which there could be many ways to give a bonus. So remember that and subscribe to the channel if you would. Ask questions. The live talk show is still coming up on Facebook, Denise and Julian Show. Still working on that. And I am always available. If I'm asleep, I'm available because you can contact me and I can wake up and get your messages. Denise Fitzpatrick, fighter for civil rights. Me and my son see people and not color in regards to standing up for your civil rights, defending civil rights. Have a good day. Goodbye now. Thanks for listening.